Hello everyone. On the 21st of March every year, we honor the World's Down Syndrome Day. So today, we are going to talk everything about Down syndrome. So what is Down syndrome? Some people call it trisomy 21, and I'm going to explain what that means. So whenever a building is under construction, and most of our buildings are made up of building blocks, you arrange these blocks to come up with a structure, a uniform structure. So just imagine that in this structure, you introduce an extra block, okay, that is not meant to be there. You can see that the entire structure is going to be distorted, and that's what exactly happens in Down syndrome, or what we call trisomy 21. Now the body, our bodies also have building blocks, and those building blocks are called chromosomes, or pieces of DNA. And a normal human being has 23 pairs of chromosomes. I'll make it simple because most of you are used to the term DNA. So I'll say, let me call it, it's not accurate, but I'll call it 23 pairs of DNA. These pairs of DNA are arranged from one pair, or what we call the first pair, the second pair, all the way to the 23rd pair. Now, the 23rd pair also has two. This is the first chromosome. This is the second chromosome. But in Down syndrome, in the 21st pair, instead of having two pieces of chromosomes, another chromosome is introduced, making them 3. That is why it's called trisomy 21. And just like we talked about a building, when a building is being constructed, most of our buildings are made up of blocks. You see, if you introduce an extra block in a building, it's going to distort the entire structure. Similarly, in our bodies, when an extra piece of genetic material, an extra piece of DNA, an extra piece of chromosome is added into our building blocks, our entire body is distorted, and of course, there are consequences for this kind of aberration that we get. So how do we make a diagnosis of Down syndrome, or what we call trisomy 21? So there are certain physical features. I'm not going to go through the physical features, but that's how we make a diagnosis. But however, for us to be 100% sure, or for us to confirm this diagnosis, we usually do a test in the hospital. And that test, we usually call it a karyotype, but in layman's language, I usually tell parents that we do a DNA test. But the test is called a karyotype. In this test, we take off a sample of blood and then we analyze it. After the analysis, usually it will show us the diagnosis, and as we've already discussed. So I know most of you may be wondering, why do babies get Down syndrome? And to be honest with you, sometimes we don't know why, but there are certain risk factors, and by far the biggest risk factor is age. What do I mean by age? By age, we usually refer to, most cases, it's maternal age, and here we talk about advanced maternal age. And by advanced maternal age, we talk about an age of 35 years and above. So if a mother is 35 years of age and above, there is some risk of having a child that has Down syndrome. And usually when a mother comes at that age, when a mother has advanced maternal age, there are some tests that we recommend during pregnancy that may help us to suspect whether that mother has or is carrying a child that has Down syndrome. And the more the age, the more the risk. For example, if a mother has 45 years of age, the risk of Down syndrome is like 1 in 30. So there is a 1 in 30 chance that if a mother gets a baby above the age of 45 years, that baby has a 1 in 30 chance of having Down syndrome. Babies or individuals that have Down syndrome may have a number of challenges, and I will go in an orderly fashion so that you understand. I'll start from up. In the brain, almost all babies or almost all individuals that have Down syndrome may suffer from some level of intellectual disability. In other words, individuals that have Down syndrome may have a low IQ. And this is not the same for everyone. It varies from mild to severe. Now, also, babies that have Down syndrome have some level of developmental delay. What do I mean here? If your baby has Down syndrome, they may take more time to talk. They may take more time to sit and walk. Babies that have Down syndrome may also be born with a heart problem, or what we call a congenital heart defect. Babies that have Down syndrome also may have an issue, a challenge with vision and also hearing. Babies that have Down syndrome may also have an issue with their immune system. Usually, babies that have Down syndrome have a diminished immunity. So, babies that have syndrome or individuals that have Down syndrome may contract diseases or infections more easily than their counterparts. Also, individuals that have Down syndrome are at a more risk of getting certain blood cancers. For example, leukemia. Individuals that have Down syndrome may also experience hormonal problems. For example, we know that babies or individuals that have Down syndrome are at a more risk of getting type 1 diabetes. Individuals that have Down syndrome are also at a risk of getting a disease we call hypothyroidism. What is hypothyroidism? Hypothyroidism is dysfunction of a gland that is usually located in the neck area. You can't see that gland, but if it has a problem, you may see a swelling in the neck area. So children that have Down syndrome may suffer from hypothyroidism. Children that have Down syndrome may also have some kind of behavioral abnormality. They may have trouble sleeping. They may also have problems with their muscles and the skeletal system. For example, their tone, their power may be reduced. However, having said all that, with the right kind of support to the babies and individuals and their families, the families that are taking care of these babies and individuals that have Down syndrome, when they have the right kind of support, these babies and individuals can live a full and happy life. At Nakasero Hospital, we have a support system for children and their families that are afflicted by Down syndrome. We have many subspecialties around. We have pediatricians, we have nurses, we have developmental specialists, we have occupational therapists, we have endocrinologists. We have an entire support system that has been built to give support to babies and individuals that have Down syndrome. So you're always welcome to Nakasero Hospital if you have Down syndrome or if your baby is afflicted by Down syndrome.